I don't want anyone to have to go through the things that I went through. No one. Anytime you go into a hospital and they're afraid to push your gurney because they don't want to be downwind. To see a doctor stand across the hall and point at you like that, I wouldn't touch. To go to a group to get services, be asked, why you here? You're not a gay white man. What you doing here? And they're not here for you. What you gonna do?
At one point, I was very open with everybody. And then there was the moments I was not. I have this thing in my head that I carry with me 24/7, that I couldn't give a fuck what they think or feel about me being different. I don't have time for that. I don't. If you're here to be with me, to support me and love me, and me do the same with you, then I'm living good.
This year, my goal is to continue keeping a support group, and all the negative people, if they negative and I don't want to be around them negative, I have like a little circle, and I make sure they're not in that circle.
So I started doing work with HIV in the South, which is the region that's hardest hit, particularly for people who identify as Black. I've been doing the work for 9 years now. What inspired me to advocate for the HIV movement was losing 2 family members due to AIDS complications. I can't say how we met without first saying that I was given the program. I was giving creative reign over dreaming up something for Black women. Because there was no space for women here at the foundation, it was really difficult to actually meet someone. And so when I was able to meet that first person, she opened me up to, her network so I could meet other women. We started off just having many conversations with them and seeing what was missing, what they wanted to see. Our first event was September of 2022. The event we put together was called Intimate Conversations, and it's really just getting the ladies up there to tell their stories as it relates to their relationship with HIV. It's the first kind of introduction of HUES to the broader community as well as internally.
I'm Diana Sciarretta. I'm from the Red and Orange House Foundation, and I was hired by San Francisco AIDS Foundation to connect with HUES to create a commemorative, expressive piece of art that talks about their lives as Black women living with HIV to share to younger generations. And we decided to make a singing tree mural. It's the 127th singing tree mural on the planet. When we were sitting around a room and we were sitting with Vince Christosomos, and we were talking about the concept of the tree and what we were going to do. And Hulda came up with, let's do 4 stages of womanhood and 4 branches. And she explained the 4 phases of womanhood, right, from childhood through to elderhood. And she was just talking in poetry about all the various aspects of women's lives, of motherhood, raising kids, being a grandmother, having a career, loving your spouse, and then you get older and then you take care of your parents, and then you share your knowledge as elderhood. And then Vince Christosomos said something I'll never forget. He said, you never mentioned HIV. And Hulda said something like, because that's the last part of womanhood. We are all of these other things. We are mothers, we are caregivers, we take care of other people. HIV happens to be a medical condition that we have.
The mural, the symbol of the tree, is the roots are our ancestors, the people who came before us, the knowledge that we gained from them. The trunk is the body of the tree. We're all human. That's our trunk. The tree limbs are the symbols, are the stages to me of life. In this leaf, I see strength, the ribs, the forming of the ribs, the forming of your bones. And at the top of the leaf, I see love, a big hug.
The point in the mural I'm focusing on, which is 30s, 40s, kind of like middle adulthood. Those leaves are focused on passion and career and really self-discovery. There's a lot of symbolism for love or wisdom, bringing forth things that you've learned in those tumultuous 20s and how you can make better decisions in terms of like love, passion, career in your 30s, 40s, 50s. To be honest with you, sometimes I get frustrated with myself in the midst of art making because I have a vision in my head, and if it's not coming together as I'm seeing it in my head, I get a bit frustrated. But you know, there's a phrase that says trust the process, and so as I'm going further and further along into the art making process, things start to come together better.
I've been diagnosed with HIV for 32 years. At the time that I was diagnosed, this was something that was definitely a death sentence. I knew nothing at all about HIV, nothing. When I went to go for services, most of the groups were for gay white men, so therefore I could not learn anything. That was one of the biggest problems when I got diagnosed. Who do I tell? How do I tell them? Where do I fit in? What is out there for me? How can I get the help that I need? Trying to find services for myself is challenging because you don't know who to ask or you don't know what to ask without being stigmatized. It's a big stigma in our community as it is, and our community meaning the African American community. The only people who actually accepted me were my sons. Now I have a whole community of family.
HUES is an intergenerational resilience space for Black women who are either living with HIV or accessing prevention services or education. It really is a space where we like to focus on holistic wellness. We don't like to center HIV in many of our conversations. I said this before, like the relationships that I've built with the ladies is really what's paramount for me. Sometimes in programming, the community members are seen of as, as a number or something to check off. But I think that what's unique about HUES is we really are building genuine connection and relationship.
HUES, first and foremost, what I think Ebony has done, because it's her nature, she's got that big, huge heart, is they come to drop and share their lives deeply, and then the group listens to each other with such empathy. That's a unique quality. We're actually in Anita's house because we're having a hard time finding a space. And then Nilda just sort of said, hey, I'll talk about the 20s, and just started pouring out about her life in New York City, in its interconnection with using substances to avoid pain. And then we just connected it and said, well, here are all the colored pencils that we're going to use. What colored pencils would you pick out, Nilda, that connect with these tumultuous years in your life of the 20s? And then she just picked out all these oranges and reds and browns. And that started us with the idea that each branch should have its own shaped leaves with its own color pattern.
My nephew died of AIDS, so when I found out I was HIV positive, it was only a year I quit drugs. So I was very much into, going to meetings. And so the first thing I did when I found out I was positive was getting to meetings, mainly men's meetings. Why? Because mostly that's what there was. Finding out I was positive, I entered a world that I found more love and more acceptance than I ever knew before. I'm alive, I have friends, I'm clean, I'm sober, I'm drug-free. And HIV has given me a life that I never thought I would ever have.
It is important that HUES exists here in San Francisco at the San Francisco AIDS Foundation because we've not seen women in HIV represented in this space before. You think of San Francisco, you think of gay men, you think of white gay men particularly. And so when you think about women in HIV, you never put San Francisco and that together. And so I think that is the reason, Black people do live in San Francisco, right? And Black women are 60% of new HIV diagnosis among women. And so I think that because of that, it just speaks to the importance and the value of women living with HIV having a space where they can feel at home, where they can feel safe and secure amongst each other. And given the landscape of San Francisco, that visibility is especially important.
From the beginning, the project, in its concept and its creation, I understood that it is their story to tell and that I'm kind of the art director around the scenes, behind the scenes, making sure that the project runs. So it's been this wonderful opportunity to really stay very rooted and very leaning in to noticing anytime I'm overstepping. Even during the moments when they're like, hey, come on, tell us, do you think the tree looks good? What colors should we use? And I just step back and say, but that's really for you all to decide. But I feel very, I'm honored to be in the circle. I'm honored that they let me in, and I'm honored every time they call me Spicy White and say, no, you step in, Diane. You are a part of our project.
When I first found out I was HIV positive, I was devastated. I didn't know anything too much about HIV. When they told me that I was positive, I was like, oh my God, what did I do wrong? What was going on? I didn't know. And so my sister was there when I got my results, and I told her, and then I called my cousin, and she told me I don't have to worry because I could be healthy. All I have to do is just keep taking my meds and go to the doctor, and she volunteered her service that if I need somebody to go with me to the doctor, to let her know, and she's willing to go with me to the doctor. Well, I didn't start accepting it until I did a documentary called Reflection Unseen, and by me sharing my story and talk about it then, that way, that's when I felt comfortable.
I have lots of dreams about HUES. Overall, I kind of just really wanted to leave a legacy of support among Black women, camaraderie amongst Black women of all ages, right? HUES is intergenerational, so I want to see young women who are newly diagnosed with HIV. I want to see younger women who are in college and want to tell, their friends about HIV advocacy and what it could mean for them, right? I want to see it just being this very visible entity within the community that people know that if you need a safe place to go, HUES has that for you. HUES has a place where you don't have to talk about HIV. You can go see a movie. You can go have coffee with each other. I just want it to be known as a space where friendship resides. I'm grateful to be seen by older women who have led colorful lives and understand that, as a younger person and sharing space with them, that they can see me and they can, leave me. I'm really grateful for that. I fought for this. My body ached from its constant war against the gypsy ladies' dance. But sometimes you have to fall into your next step. In my tussle, I found my wildest dreams. I get to take walks in parks filled with sunshine, to climb trees rooted in devotion. I've picked up signs and wonders along the way. I have to be hugged by winds just cool enough to need a blanket of love. I want to be flying freely in spaces as passionate as honeyed kisses, a hummingbird's quick visit reminding me to be light and soft and joyful, a million ends. Me and my wildest dreams made a pact, promised me that the flowers would blossom. She and I made a covenant to always choose liberation, affirmed that the butterfly would bring transformation my way.